Well, I'm really enjoying my road trip. I usually, it's interesting actually, because I usually don't really enjoy driving that much. But I have to say, driving the Tesla is just such great fun. Apart from anything else, you can actually get it to drive for you. So let's just do that now. There we go, that chime means it's in something called Autopilot, which means it's operating the accelerator, the brakes, the steering as well. You're meant to keep your hands on the steering wheel, that's the law in the UK. But it does everything for you. It just makes driving so much easier. But I have to say, there are some like weird moments in Tesla driving, or Tesla ownership as they call it. And that is that you get a lot of very kind of interesting looks. A lot of people taking photos of the car. I've done a few a kind of unofficial burn offs, shall I say, with other people. I was at the traffic lights just back there actually before I got onto the motorway, and there was another lady, and she was in a Porsche. I'm not really into cars, so I don't really know what kind of Porsche it was. It looked like a very new one, and we kind of had a little race at the traffic lights. I have to say, I came over best. I out accelerated her, and then we both slowed down, and we had a good laugh about that. And then earlier on this morning, I was on the motorway, and there was a guy in a convertible, I don't know what it was, but it was one of these like quite old sort of 1970s cars, but open top, and the guy had blonde hair and a cap, looked quite trendy, and he was waving at me and saying, "Oh, I can't hear the engine," and that was quite funny as well. So it's been a real laugh actually, and every time I've charged this car up, I've always had somebody come over and ask me questions about it. I've had people wanting to sit in the car, see what it's like, and then want to look at the computer screen and know what that's all about and how much range the car gets and everything else. So that's really cool. I mean, obviously that's going to a couple of years time these cars will be everywhere, so it won't be any big deal then, but any new technology is always like that. I remember when I first had a tablet computer and a smartphone, it was very similar. I had people coming up to me asking me all sorts of questions about it. So there we go. As far as range and everything, I've had an awful lot of questions about range, and I've had an awful lot of questions from a lot of people. And so what I've actually done is I've got Angela, who works on the support desk, to jot those questions down into like a Word file, and there's an awful lot of them actually, ranging from what kind of range does the car do, all sorts of questions. And so what I've actually asked her to do is give me a call in about 5 minutes time on the car phone, and she's going to read some of those questions out, a little bit like we do on the webinars, and I'm going to do my best to answer them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sign off now and just wait for her to call, and then when she does call, we'll start going through those questions. Hello.
Hi, Sarah. It's Angela.
Hi, Angela. How are you doing? How are you finding the UK?
Oh, it's fabulous. I love it. You have a beautiful country.
You've been doing a lot of sightseeing?
A lot.
Well, I hope to do some with you tomorrow, because I'm on my way up to Scotland, as you know. And
Yeah.
I gather we've been having a lot of questions in the help desk about my trip.
Yes, there have been quite a few.
Okay, fantastic. Well, far away.
Okay. Tina is asking, how far can you go in between charges on the car?
That's a great question. Well, it's interesting. It's my big worry with this car was the range, as they call it, range anxiety. And actually, the day before my trip, I actually had an anxiety dream about running out of charge in the middle of like nowhere. So I think on the site they say, when you've charged the car fully, it says something like 270 miles, something like that. And I was talking to Michael Wilding about this actually when we were trying to find charging ports, and he was saying, well, That's great, Sarah, but is it like a laptop which says, you know, oh, you've got 7 hours of battery charge, and then sort of like an hour and a half later it's down to half an hour, you know? Or a phone, sometimes your phone does that, doesn't it? You charge it and it says you've got, you know, 7 hours of battery, and then, you know, 10 minutes later it's, or an hour later, it's almost run out. So that was my big worry. And in reality, it kind of depends how you drive the car. So what I've actually been doing is I've been driving the car just like I would drive my Range Rover. So sometimes quite aggressively. I've been putting my foot down when I'm just wanting to be, you know, have some fun. I've been cruising pretty much at a steady 80 miles an hour. So I'm cruising at 80 miles an hour now. This morning I was actually hungry, so I wanted to make, have some lunch, and I needed the toilet as well. So I actually was cruising then for about 45 minutes at 90 miles an hour. So I've been kind of like, you know, doing just, you know, normal speeds and stuff. And I'm averaging, I would say, round about 250 miles, or maybe between 250 miles of capacity. I would probably say 250 miles of capacity between charges. That's roughly what I think the car is doing, about 250 miles. Now, obviously I wouldn't want to drive 250 miles between chargers just in case, you know, when I get to the charger it doesn't work or something, or I can't find it. So I've been charging the car pretty much every 150 miles or so. So what I've been trying to do is work out a route where I would have a charger every kind of 150, every 160 miles.
Tom had said that what he likes best about your recent newsletters, of course, besides the Tesla, is how you are able to take all this time off for a nice road trip and not have to worry about your income. He's wondering how he can go about doing that.
Ah, okay. Well, I think really, you know, that's one of the things about internet marketing that I love. I love the fact that I can do stuff like this or go on holiday, but it doesn't mean that my income stops. And I've got money coming in continuously, and that's what's really important with internet marketing. You pick something, you do something where, you know, you do the work once, but you've still got money coming in on autopilot all of the time. Now, one of the things which has enabled me to do that is email marketing. The fact that I have an email list, I've built that list, I've got it as an asset. I've been able to just send out a couple of emails whilst I've been on the road, and really just about my road trip. And I've just had some links. You might have noticed those links at the bottom of the email, and just having those links in my email has actually generated me money whilst I've been on the road. Plus, you know, when new people sign up to my list, they go through what's called an autoresponder sequence. They get emails automatically, and that really, you know, that is how I make my money. So it's from email marketing. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about email marketing, and I know you will, because it is one of the best ways of making money on the internet, and probably one of the easiest ways to make money long term on the internet. I'm actually putting together a special webinar which I'm hosting when I get back home next week. So on Thursday, I'm hosting a special webinar all about how you can build your own email list and generate income pretty much instantly as soon as you've got people who have signed up to your list. So that's the important thing. It's not just about building a list, it's about making money from it. So what you want to be able to do is add someone to your email list and then make $20, $30, $40, $50 from that person within 7 days. And that's what I'm going to be teaching on the webinar next week. So if you want to come along to that, you can click on the link, which I guess what we'll do is we'll post that below the video.
All right, great. Scott wants to know if the Tesla has a satellite radio, and does it work well in the UK?
Ah, okay. Well, I had a look, and it doesn't. It has a satellite radio in the States. I know that much for a fact. Satellite radio, I don't think we have satellite radio here in the UK. So that's just something we don't have in the UK. I've never seen it in the UK. So I guess that's why it's not an option on this car. But I know for a fact, because I looked at the spec sheet, it is available if you buy the car in the States. However, one cool thing it does have is it has a mobile phone SIM card built in to the car, and that's part of the package. You don't have to pay for a monthly fee or anything for that. And they've included Spotify in the package. So the actual touch screen on the car has a Spotify account included with the car. So you can listen to pretty much any music you want via Spotify for free. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually got Spotify on my phone with all my playlists and everything, so and all downloaded to my phone. So I've just been using my phone because I'm just used to that. But they've actually just got Spotify on there as well. So the interesting thing is this car doesn't have like a CD slot, a slot to put CDs in, which is a kind of is a trend I've seen in a few cars. Like Dave's new car, his Jaguar, doesn't have a thing to put CDs in either. So I guess that really is the nail in the coffin now for CDs, because it's it's all now online, isn't it? From your phone.
Right. Mark is wanting to know, before you get too excited about this autopilot thing, what happens if the car gets hacked?
Yeah, that's a good question. I hope it doesn't get hacked. That's all I can say. Okay, that obviously is a concern, and let's hope they bring in, the legislation for that. I think that's probably one of the reasons why they won't have like an open app store or anything like that. So it's not like a computer where you can install software on it yourself. So it's probably much harder to hack than a home PC, because a home PC you can install software. You can't actually install software on this car. Saying that, it probably is possible to hack it. I'm sure it is. The one thing about Tesla, which makes them very different to other companies and other car companies, is they actually manufacture pretty much 99.9% of everything themselves, which most people don't do. Most car companies don't do. They make everything, the batteries, they even make the computers, and they actually write all the software code themselves for every part of the car. When you look at a regular car like a Range Rover or a Ford or something like that, a car like that will be built with components from hundreds and hundreds of manufacturers, and a modern car will have 10 or 15 different computer systems from different manufacturers again, and then they have to have special software to tie it all together, which is why modern cars are very inflexible with what they can do, and they can't really update them very easily. But whereas with the Tesla, because everything is written by one company, everything is created by one company, they've got much more control over it, so they can create updates very, very easily for the car, and as a result it's a lot more secure. So but obviously hacking cars, absolutely, that is a concern. I'm sure that is something they've probably consulted about, and it can happen with airplanes as well. It's a similar things with planes. I believe there was a 747 that was hacked a couple of years ago from someone who hacked in via the in-screen entertainment or something, or the Wi-Fi on the plane. So they've had to tighten up and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a concern, but let's keep our fingers crossed, because I've got Autopilot on at the moment. That bleep you just heard there was the car complaining that I didn't have my hands on the steering wheel. So.
Well, that was not very comforting about the hacking on the planes. That wasn't even on my radar until you mentioned that.
Yeah, well, I think they've tightened up on that now, so yeah.
Well, I'll try not to think about that when I'm flying over that big ocean on the way home.
Oh, yeah.
So, Donna wants to know what it is you're using to record your videos. She says the thing that's on your dashboard while you were driving Martin around.
Okay, I'm pointing at it now for the video. So that thing on the windscreen there, that is what's called a GoPro camera. It's a GoPro Hero. So this is actually this model of the camera is a Hero 3. I think I got this a while ago now. They've got a Hero 4 or a Hero 5 now, I think, which are probably better than this one. But they cost about £200 or £300, so they're not ridiculously expensive. And they're the kind of cameras you see, when people like do skydiving or like water rafting and they've got like one of these cameras on their helmet. That's what it is. It's one of these kind of sports action cameras, and they're really good because actually the new version of this actually has a screen on the back. This one doesn't even have a screen built in, so it can be a bit difficult angling it and making sure it's in the right position. But the great thing about this camera is it has an app. You have an app for my telephone, so I can actually use my telephone as like a video monitor, so I can tell if the camera's pointing in the right direction, and I can start and stop the recording from the app on my phone. Or that's how it's meant to work. That didn't work today. I couldn't pair it today with my telephone, so I just had to do it manually, which was kind of annoying, really. But the other great thing about these cameras is the fact that you can actually plug like a tie-clip microphone into the side of the camera. So it has a built-in microphone, but there's also a microphone socket on the side. It's actually a USB socket, which is on the side, and I bought a USB microphone from Amazon for £10, and that's what I'm using to record the sound with that. So, and I also bought an accessory kit, which was about £15, not very expensive, which has like the suction cup thing to stick it to the windscreen. So yeah, so I've just got one of those cameras actually. Then I've got the camera in the back. I've just got a professional camera with a professional suction mount, which is stuck to the roof of the car, and that's quite a large camera. I wouldn't recommend you buy one of those because they're rather expensive. But for an in-car setup like this, just 2 GoPro cameras would be ideal. So yeah, that's what I'd recommend you buy if you want to do in-car filming, or any kind of any place where you need where it's very confined, very small area, because they've actually got a very wide-angle lens. So yeah, that's what I'm using.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Just one more question here from Tom. From Janet. She said that the Tesla looks fabulous in your videos. She would love to have one, but it's afraid it's a bit out of her price range.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on how she could manage to pay for something like a Tesla?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's actually 2 things. So the first thing is, this is the Model 3 is a stupidly expensive car. I think the base model starts at £60,000, and if you spec'd it up with everything, you put every single option on the car, it comes out at about £120,000, which is just ridiculous. I think that's too much to pay for a car. So they have something coming out in a couple of years' time called the Model 3. In fact, you can pre-order it right now if you give a £1,000 deposit, and then the car will be ready for you at the end of next year. So that's called the Model 3, and that's going to, in the States, that's going to start at $30,000, and in the UK, I think it's going to be £30,000. And I've made a decision on when I get back from my road trip, I'm putting in my order for my car. So that's the car I'm going to buy, and that car will come standard with Autopilot, and it will probably have newer technology than this car. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to be able to buy a new car like this, maybe that's still outside your price range, because by the time you put options in, it might be £40,000. But if you want to buy a new car like that, and I always prefer to buy my cars in cash. I don't like taking out loans or car loans or anything like that. I like to just buy them outright, and that's really, that's what I like to do with things. I don't like to use credit cards or anything like that. I would recommend you start building an email list. I know I keep banging on about this, but it is one of the quickest ways to wealth on the internet. And if you look at any successful internet marketer, I don't care who they are, what they do, or generally anyone who really makes money on the internet, the one thing that they all have in common is they all have an email list. I've interviewed on this trip so far, Martin Avis. He's been doing email marketing since, well, before me. He actually taught me email marketing, and he's still making his living working probably about 2 or 3 afternoons a week, if that, and he doesn't even call it work. And Michael, exactly the same. He tells me he just works 3 hours a day now, and yeah, so for instance, Michael was able to take the whole day off yesterday because he was just mucking about with me. And he was still able to make money. So and that's what it's all about. It's having a business that I think Michael said it very, very good yesterday. He said, make sure you've got a business that's scalable, where if you want to make more money, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have more work. and that's really the important thing. And with an email list, if your email list is, if you've got an email list of 10 people or 10,000 people or 100,000 people, it's the same work. You're sending an email out, you're writing an email out and clicking send. Whether there's 10 people on that list or a million people on that list, it's the same amount of work. It just means you can make more money. So make sure you attend next week's webinar on Thursday. I'm going to be showing you how you can put 10,000 people on your list. And also how you can live the life that you want easily by just putting 10,000 people on your list, and I'm going to show you how you can do that within 6 months. So join the webinar this Thursday at 8 p.m. UK time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So there you go. So there'll be a link for the webinar below this video.
Awesome.
Fantastic. So that's the end of the questions, is it? Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow morning.
I am too. I'm excited.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for calling, Angela, and I'll see you tomorrow. I've got another 54 miles to go before I get to Edinburgh, and then I'm going to charge up the car again. It won't be flat there, but it's going to be about half empty. And north of Edinburgh, there aren't that many chargers, so I thought I'd give it a full charge before I go to the hotel in Dundee later today. So I'm going to charge the car, then I'm going to go to my hotel, and then tomorrow I'm going to come over to see yourself and Kathy. So thank you very much, Angela, and I'll see you tomorrow. Are you still there? I think I've just lost Angela on the phone. I think we're going for a mobile phone dead spot. So thank you everybody for watching the video, and I'll keep you updated, and we'll have the next installment tomorrow.